Okay, going to give you a quick overview of some of the stuff we got to do. The major thing is the exhaust. I found out they want an exhaust on the car, so I have to put this exhaust back together, which it's all cut apart. Here's the catalytic converter there, but whenever I cut it, it's not perfect. So I can just line up where the cut marks are, and I can line everything up and get that welded back together. Change an air filter. Got to remove the horns. There's two horns there, one down below that one. Remove those. That'll get rid of some of this weight. Also, there's a ground right here. I'm going to have to relocate that because if this gets hit, these wires have to be tucked up in and out of the way. The problem is if you get hit and it gets into the wiring harness, it cuts it, it could cause a short, it could cause a fire, or it could cause the car to shut down or maybe burn some fuses up or whatever. Mass airflow sensor needs cleaned. Motor isn't leaking or anything. That's good. We have to put a roll bar in it. They don't want a full-blown cage, so we're going to put a roll bar in it and a couple down tubes in the back, and that'll support the roof in case it rolls over. And has the factory side crash protection in it. You see the passenger door there. So we're going to leave that in, of course. And we have to weld the doors shut, so I'll make little plates that go here and then weld here and weld here, or I can weld there and I can actually bolt it and bolt the door shut. That'll have to be done in a few places, probably two here and another one down at the bottom, down there, and that'll hold the door from being shut. All this door hardware has to be removed for weight, including the door handle and the lock mechanism. That's on both doors. And what else? Oh, there's some weight underneath the car that needs to be taken off, and all the underside here. This is all coated with nasty mud and everything. This has to be jacked up, and all that has to be pressure washed, so that I have something clean to work with. Otherwise, it's just going to be an absolute mess. So that's one of the things I'm going to do tomorrow is get all that clean after I do the brakes in my truck. Front and back's the same. It's just coated with mud in there. It's pretty bad. So we'll pressure wash that all out. And then the rear brakes have to be taken apart. Everything checked to make sure that that everything's functional and there's no broken parts or anything. And the emergency brake system has to be removed. And on the front, all the calipers, they have to be taken off, and the brake pads removed, and all the hardware has to be removed, and all that stuff has to be cleaned, or lubricated, and put back on, so that we don't have a brake failure, or very, very little chance of a brake failure partway through the race. And if you look at this thing, it is setting way, way up in the air, a big fender gap in the back. So we have to pull the rear spring out of it, rear shock and spring assembly, remove the spring, cut the spring, and then put it all back so we can get the car down a little bit lower. Right now it's setting up so high that these tires are actually tilted in on either side, and that means it'll run on the outside edge of the tire, and that's not good for traction. So that'll work good on this side, but it's not going to work good on that side. So we have to get the springs cut to set that down, and as the suspension sets down, that tire will rotate to a more vertical position, and that's what we're after. And then we also have to put some steel straps right here from the top of the windshield opening to the bottom. We're going to put 3 steel ones across there, and then also cover this with screen. And the screen will protect you from small stuff, but then the 3 steel straps, that'll protect you from anything large that's coming back in. And we have to build a seat mount yet, and that has to be tied into the roll cage loop. So if the car does get hit real hard and this is pushed in, if the roll cage moves, the seat moves with the roll cage. So you don't want the door coming in and collapsing in on you. As that gets pushed in, you want to move with the cage and with the car. So yeah, still plenty to do, and a few little things to clean up, like some of the sound deadening. We want to try and take as much out of there as we can, because that's weight we got to haul around. And yeah, like lots of little detail stuff underneath, getting rid of the emergency brake cables and all that stuff. It's a real mess under there. So that is just a quick overview of what we got to do to get the car ready. And actually, it doesn't sound like much, but I am working by myself and trying to get all this done by myself, and just working on a little bit each day. We're not on a time schedule anymore because the car is actually mobile. So tomorrow we're gonna back it out and clean the wheel wells out and everything, and then we can pull it back in here, get it back up on jack stands, and then I can take very leisurely just rebuild the brakes. And yeah, I'm going to try and get it where that stuff is done before the end of the month. That way, if I have to go to Colorado, then we can just drop this thing down and drive it around. It won't be a problem.